Hello and welcome to my studio journal. Now back in 2022, I started to redesign my home studio, shifting from software to hardware for the first time. What began as a few videos for some curious students soon became an ongoing unfiltered record. Welcome to this sweet mess, day 20 of trying to get this together. Okay, so this is kind of the mess that we have as it stands. Of course, we have all the cords over here that have to be picked up in that, but I think I'm going to keep this the way it is. Now, if you notice, I have some pieces of paper there on each corner and as well as underneath around there. Those are going to be the cutouts. So I need to measure those right. I just need to get those in place. Then I'm going to trace the line on there, and then I'm going to cut out those sections. I should go down and get the right size hole saw. That's not going to happen. So I need to cut a hole at the top and at the bottom there so I can push the cabinet back. That should give us 5 more inches of floor space there. So it should make this opening here a little bit bigger, not much, just a little bit. And it should increase the amount of space I have in there. As well as it should, like right now, I don't know if you can see it. If I just stand like this, you can see how far that sticks out from the piano itself. And the piano itself is already sticking out a good ways. The reason for that is A, so I can get my hand back there to turn on, and also B, because it gives a little bit of an overhang when you're playing. That brings me to a different sort of plan with this. Thank goodness I didn't start cutting and doing things last night, because otherwise I would have made a mess. I thought to myself, the mixer needs to come out, but what would happen if we put holes, like I said, in the back here, so it could push further back? But what happens if this was on sliders, so that you could just simply pull this out instead? That would work out really well, because in that case, all I need to do is pick up the mixer if I want, move it over to the side, and I have a whole secondary workbench underneath here. Plus, it has all audio rig and everything else in there. So I'm really starting to like the way this is feeling. So that's the plan, is to use these cutouts, cut out some holes in the back of this thing so it can go back. So that should give us a little bit more room here. And I'm going to do all that today. After that, then it's building the rack unit parts for in here. And the last thing I think I have to do today is build the rack units for the power distribution system. So I have to make sure I'm going to build another 2 little racks, take apart the ones I built before, build them a little different, and hopefully that'll work. Next, we're going to take this thing out, measure it up, and get those holes put in. All I have is the hole saw that you see there. I'm going to cut out the top of the hole with that, and it's not the right size, but I'm going to do a couple of different cuts, hopefully get something close. It'll be close. Not perfect, close. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. I got all the things marked off underneath. I used a wax crayon to kind of outline the edge so I can see it if the paper slips. So everything is there. So now it's just a matter of actually cutting it. I've also got it down. You can see the paper on the other side. So I got all the holes marked. It's just now a matter of actually cutting them. This is where it was sitting before. The distance in here, it's okay, but it doesn't give you as much clearance, and that's basically the same on the other side. So this thing was here. Now it can slide back in and under like that. It just brings it back 5 inches. Before, it was coming outside of the table like this. So now, if you weren't going to bump into the table, you're not going to bump into that thing. It also sits nice underneath the table. So there's still lots of work. The paper has to come off and all that, but anyhow, it worked out pretty well. I also have to put the slides underneath it. That's working so far. So the next thing I'm going to do is take off the paper, and then I have to start building the racks for inside. We're going to worry about the sliders later. I got the mixing board right there on top, so that's fine. Right now we have the Pro VLA2 that's on the bottom. Above that is going to be the patch bay. I just have the two power things, in fact one's upside down, in there right now just as a space holder to see what I need. I can fit 5.5 rack units in there, 5.5 U in there, so I'm going to have to use a spacer on top, which is fine. Then we get to the other half, and it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to put another 6 U rack in there as well, with the top being a spacer. And that's where the power distribution center for this particular wall is going to be. So that means I got to cut down these boards. Not big fan of that. The main stand underneath that desk worked out fine. I only have a hacksaw, a wood saw, a drill, and a couple of bits. All my other tools are over in a garage someplace else. I don't drive over and try and sort through to find where they are and stuff like this because I don't have access to them right here. Otherwise, I would have used a jigsaw, which would have been a lot easier to cut those rounded notches with. But either way, it worked, it looks fine, and it's going to do. The next step is this right here. This is the rack rail thing I just built. It's nice and flush. It worked great. I really like this. But now it's no good to me. So what I have to do is I have to count out 6 U's of space. So for instance, from the edge of my finger, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down to there. So I now have to cut a section like that off of this board and another section like that off of this board. It just turns out though that with these bolts that I put through, I have 2 left and I need 2. So for instance, if I do my first cut like up here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I run just short of this bolt. So I'd need to put another bolt in here. And then this side of the rack would be done. Then I would cut right here and I would do another 1, 2, 3, 4, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I would have to move this last bolt up. And so I need to have 2 6U units, one for each side of that cabinet down there. So anyhow, that's the next step. So I'm going to go down, have to cut this. But once those are done, then I'm going to have the 2 rack sides set up. I'm going to put in probably the power unit just as a placeholder for right now, just so I can kind of see what it looks like. Or maybe I just leave these things right here, which I have another 2 on order. These are just vents for the top. Because that bridging shelf has a bit of a lip that goes down, that means it's not 6 U's, it's like 5.5. So you're going to see a little bit of this grill underneath the top. It'll just tidy it up, make it look a little bit better. Is it going to look like it's a pro-built cabinet? Of course not. And I haven't put the slides on the bottom yet, so that's the other thing I'm going to have to do. But anyhow, onwards and upwards. Next step is to cut these things to shape. Okay, so I didn't get much sleep last night and I am exhausted, but here is the first rack then that is done. All it needs to be inserted in the empty spot there is the microphone preamp, which looks pretty much like the Pro VLA2, which is on the bottom. That's the first rack that's done, and that's going to be put into that spot right there. Then I need to start work on the second rack. But as of tonight, it's late enough that I am done. That's it. I'm going to carry on tomorrow with building the second rack. If you'd like to follow the full journey, check out my online studio journal linked in the description. Until next time, I'm just a music teacher having fun. Catch you on the next one.